Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and everyone is here, despite further or previous uh, communications to the contrary or lack thereof. Hello, Chris Paul. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day to you.
Same to you. And congratulations. I heard you got a big award.
Thank you. It's a heavy one. Yeah, it's
That's
it's much
awesome.
heavy.
Yeah.
And thank you to you, Mr. Lowdown. Thanks for attending. Thanks for
Thanks for having me,
being
Sybil.
my escort.
Yeah, I was Sybil escort. That was exciting, Sybil. I had a chance to put on a suit.
And you look damn good in it too.
That wasn't a funeral or wedding, Sybil, or both.
Yeah, he texted me, said, I'm hoping there's free food there.
And I was right.
Yeah, the drinks and the food were
Man,
flowing.
it was an amazing event, Sybil.
Thank you.
Much
Thank you for
deserved.
being a part of
Much
it.
deserved.
Thank you.
Tell
I
us what the
appreciate
award
that.
is?
I
Go ahead,
will.
Sybil.
I will.
Okay.
The MMCA, the Multicultural Media Correspondence Award, and that was Thursday in Washington D.C. It was a lovely event, and glad to have my friends there, to be there in the audience. It was really great. Hello, Coy. How are you?
Hey, I'm pretty good. Hey, Chris. Hey,
What
Huggy.
up?
I didn't know he went.
I'm in DC. I got it by
He is
default. I
Mr.
knew it.
DC.
I knew it. I knew
Yeah.
it.
He is Mr. DC, and so Chris, how did you spend this day? Or are you celebrating?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm celebrating.
Observing?
Not even observing. I just enjoy the fact that it's a holiday.
Okay. Okay. Is anybody else surprised as I am that parents didn't know that today was a school holiday?
Is it a national school holiday or does it depend on
Well,
state?
it's kind of a flip between either they choose to observe Indigenous Peoples Day or they observe Columbus Day.
Because it's interesting. As we continue to add, we've added some new holidays over the
Hmm.
years. Martin Luther King holiday being one. Have they ever thought about taking some off the books?
Oh, I'm
like
sure
like
they
Columbus
have.
Day would be a good one to take off the books.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Or the perhaps George Washington or Abraham Lincoln's birthdays.
Yeah,
You
those
know.
those used to be days off from school when I was young, but
Yeah.
now they just call it President's Day, right?
Right.
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 And I
Yep.
don't
They
think that's a
combined
holiday
them.
now.
Yeah. They've combined them, and I think that I'm waiting to see what Thanksgiving is going to look like in the future.
If they want to take them off, start calling it Obama Day. They'll get rid of it.
Okay.
They'll try to
Okay.
get rid of it. They call it
That's
Obama Day.
yeah. Exactly.
I'm interested in seeing a map of who still celebrates Columbus Day versus Indigenous Peoples Day and how these people voted in recent elections.
Well, you can look that
That's a
up.
good one.
You absolutely could look that up. So it is available to people. I know in Chicago, Columbus Day was a big holiday, but not as big as St. Patrick's Day. The holiday there and the parade is really quite something, and it's an opportunity for people to drink a lot of beer and to get a little sloppy drunk and celebrate a day that they don't really understand. They just know that it is a celebration of sorts
Well,
for St. Patrick.
I saw a video on TikTok today from The Sopranos, and
Mm.
in it, Tony Soprano's son, who was a teenager at this point, he was sitting at the table with his history book, telling his parents that Christopher Columbus was raping and killing and enslaving people. And
Wow.
Tony Soprano went off on his son. He acted like
So
a
this
black
was a real episode.
right. He
Yeah.
acted
Wow.
Tony Soprano and his mom acted like a black teenager saying something bad about Martin Luther King. He was going off defending him. He's the most bravest Italian ever to live. Just preaching some fake gospel about
Right.
Christopher Columbus. I'm like, is that how Italians feel about Christopher Columbus? Like he's a
That's
hero?
how much of a god he is revered as such
Wow.
by a lot of. I know in Chicago, which has a large Well, it has a large Irish community, has a large Italian community, has a large Polish community, but that's definitely something that people take seriously. They did have a Columbus parade today,
Wow.
and there was a lot of concern by the Italian organization, and they were concerned about having a replica of Christopher Columbus there in the parade for what kind of response it would get from people in the audience. Would they throw would they throw a can of beer at it, or whatever? But so they had a a Christopher Columbus Day parade, but no Christopher Columbus was pictured during the
That's
parade.
like black people celebrating OJ Day. We don't care about what he's done. We don't care about anything that he's done. We just want to celebrate him. He's black.
Right, right. Yeah. It's crazy, man. It is absolutely crazy.
I said the only sales he's famous for is retail.
But Chris, as you mentioned that clip from The Sopranos, that sounds like something David Chase, who's the creator of The Sopranos, would have in his work. And I'm surprised that it hasn't gotten more play as a result of that. But it'll be interesting to see how people respond. Let us go to the What You Need to Know newsletter. This
Hold on, real
is
quick. I wonder,
sure.
does critical race theory mean taking that out of the history too? Because the teenager was telling his father, it's right here in my history book. Everything he's saying about the slavery and killing and raping. I mean, does that mean also removing other people's negative history? Like, if you can take away slavery and everything bad that's happened to us, will they say we're no longer teaching the bad stuff about Christopher Columbus?
Right.
Well, now we're only the good stuff.
And
Right.
and how do you talk about the good stuff of Lee and
Right.
and the Southern Confederacy? How do
Right.
you what do you do with that?
And no more massacres of Native Americans either.
Right. Yeah. No more bended knee. None of that.
No more museums then.
How about
Wow.
that? Wouldn't that be next?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that
Imagine
be
them going through the Black History Museum in D.C. and just taking stuff out.
Well, you could take Ben Carson out of there for sure.
for sure?
Well, you already can't see that with all the cobwebs all over it
Right.
and dust.
Right.
It'll be interesting to visit those museums, like the National African American Museum in Washington D.C., and others in cities like Chicago and Detroit, and you name them, as we have African American museums there, to see how they respond to people who are no longer revered in our society, in our community. Right. Coy, are you ready to tell us about the settlement made between the family of a Black man by the name of Daniel Prude and the Rochester, New York Police Department in a
Wait, that's the story we're talking
2020
about?
arrest?
Oh, I thought we were talking about another story. Okay, so we have a
Isn't
federal
that the
judge.
story? Isn't that the story we have for today in the newsletter?
No.
My bad.
Spoilers. Sybil gave spoilers from the newsletter.
So that's Coy's story for tomorrow. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So either one you want to do, Coy, whichever one you're prepared to do. I apologize.
We should definitely talk about both because they're related, kind of hand in hand. So I'm interested to see what happens with this story as well as the one that you're mentioning. I'm wondering if the story for today is going to have the same type outcome. But we do have a similar situation in Detroit with a fatal shooting of a 20-year-old Black man named Porter Burks, who was diagnosed schizophrenic in 2019. And it's a difficult situation because his family actually called for help. They were concerned for their safety, and they've called for help over the years, dating back to 2019, where there was an incident where this man had actually used a knife and stabbed his sister and then stabbed his brother, who came to her defense. So during this incident that just happened on October 2nd, there were several officers responding to this mental health crisis, including a crisis officer that was identified in the video that could be heard talking to him, as well as other officers. And so, although there were several officers at the scene, negotiating for him to put down this knife, when he started running towards officers, 5 of them shot 38 rounds in 3 seconds.
Mm.
So there's an
And these
ongoing
were just regular
investigation.
pistols. These weren't automatic weapons.
Yes,
Hmm.
it's automatic. Their standard issued police weapons is what they shot. So now there's an ongoing investigation by the Michigan State Police. The 5 officers who did fire the 38 shots have not been named, and they are currently under administrative leave as well as an ongoing investigation. And there was a press conference kind of just briefing what happened, and pretty much the sentiments of the police department was that they failed this man on several occasions by not checking up with him to see, had he been following up with his medication or any kind of treatment or anything like that. And they really didn't want to use deadly force, but they felt like this is a life-threatening matter at the time when he ran at them with a knife, and he was also too far away for them to use a taser, which would have been ineffective because he was too far. But I beg to differ, just because we've seen several other occasions where there's been a white person, not just a suspect, somebody that has killed several people that has been apprehended peacefully.
Right.
So it can be done. It can be done.
It can be done, but we've seen all too many examples of this and questions of why there are not people on the police department who are equipped to handle
And you
these.
said there was a crisis officer present. So
Right.
what was he?
What was his job?
Expertise? What was his job?
And
Right.
what was his response to all of this? Did he
They
try
didn't
to stop them?
They were saying that he and the other officers were heard in the video that they played snippets of it at the press conference. They were heard negotiating with him, asking him to put the knife down, letting him know he's not in any trouble, and that they're going to get him some help. But
maybe the crisis officers are there to counsel the police officers and not the suspects.
That sound like it.
Sadly, that's
It
what
sound
it
like it.
sounds like.
Yeah.
And what is
Yeah.
and do
And
police
how quick are
officers?
they protected? How quick are they protected? Like their anonymity,
Right.
like they quick to protect the
Their own.
officers,
Mhm.
names and stuff, or hide the identity of their names, but nothing for the victim.
And we all know every police officer carries a gun, but don't they have access to non-lethal forms, non-lethal weapons? Like
Like
where
rubber
the
bullets.
rubber bullets are those high-powered beanbag things they shoot for crowd control that are supposed to really mess people up. But we found out a guy has a knife. You go in with the damn shields you use when you're storming rooms. He can't get past those big crowd control shields right there. A couple of us rush him, that's his ass. It doesn't
they
have
didn't
to
think
be a
about
gun, right? They don't.
right, tear gas and nothing, pepper spray.
Not when you're a person of color, because you're a threat already.
How about somebody shooting a guy in the leg?
And
he might drop the gun.
Yeah, for sure. Or whatever his weapon is, you would think, but that's what they say. And I've asked those for years, that question for years, and we are trained shoot to kill. But what about in cases like this? You are not in a place to shoot to kill the mentally ill.
No,
Right.
That's
38 shots in 3 seconds.
ridiculous.
And I would never, just like people used to blame rap music for stuff, I wouldn't blame video games on anything, but it is a Call of Duty mentality. It's like it's like you don't take people seriously. Like it's not even a life. You're watching this on a screen and you're killing multiple people. It's not a human being anymore.
Right.
And they want to fire those weapons.
Right.
That's absolutely right. They want to.
They want to. It's part of the game.
And they're amped up to do this in a lot of cases. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm definitely interested to see how this turns out. As Sybil mentioned a little bit earlier, we do have a story in tomorrow's newsletter talking about the outcome of the case with Daniel Prude, who was 41 years old, who was placed under a spit mask and held down until he couldn't breathe any longer, and he ended up dying from those injuries. He was also having a mental health crisis, and now there has been a judgment made in that case regarding his family and the justice that they were seeking. And I'm just curious to see how this case turns out, if it's going to be anything similar.
Yeah, there was a settlement. I remember doing this story, Coy, before you joined us, and how horrible this case was. This man had traveled from Chicago to visit his brother to get a fresh start on things and to kind of clear his head. He got off the train, and there was some indirect communications between the brothers regarding where he was, and the brother had instructed him, please don't go out, please stay in the house, and the brother turned his back, and Daniel Prude left out of the house in the middle of the night. It was in the winter in Rochester, so you can imagine. He was building up to a major episode, and it turned out that he had stripped off all his clothes, and people were calling the police saying there's a naked man running down the street. And when they said they were fearful of him biting them or spitting on them in the middle of the virus. And they put the spit hood on him, and then he said he couldn't breathe, and they didn't seem to care. Now a settlement, and this was horrific. I don't know where you think that this is not going to happen, but I was very surprised that this was in Rochester, New York. But they did have a settlement, Coy, and the family of Daniel Prude said they believe this was the highest settlement in history, and $12 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
The phrase
going
"I
to his
can't
children.
breathe." The phrase "I can't breathe" is now famous.
Yeah.
It's famous, and it belongs to one man who's no longer with us. There is not a single police officer who has not heard that phrase in the context of the trial that sent sending an officer to prison.
Right.
Every officer knows what that means. So as
Right.
soon as they hear it, I don't care if a suspect is BSing you.
Right.
As soon as you hear that, you have to
That's a
back
plea.
up. Right.
That's
You got to back
that's
up.
a plea.
Because you now know documented what the potential is
Right.
from that. The potential
Right.
of that is someone's death.
Right.
And especially if you're a police officer. Every single cop in the country followed that case.
Right.
Yep.
I can't breathe now has to be the safe word.
Yeah. Yeah. It has to be, when you hear that, policemen and women, your next step is to release him so that he can, or put him in a position, not on his stomach, not on his side, not on,
Right.
where he can get some air.
Right.
Right. But is it a safe word anymore? Like,
Well, it depends on
Is
the
it?
officer. It's either a safe word or a trigger.
And the trigger, and it started with Eric Garner, it moved to George Floyd,
Right.
now with Daniel Prude, and I'm sure there are others who have screamed out those words, uttered those same words. And how do we get people to understand that this is not a joke? They aren't just, shucking and jiving, that they cannot breathe. Don't take that chance with a person's life.
Right. And you're putting your own life in risk.
Your future.
Why do you want to go to prison?
Right. Right. And they
a cop
think
in
that,
jail is never good.
well, they find out very quickly, don't they?
Yeah.
Also in our very free newsletter, the What You Need to Know newsletter, talk about Herschel Walker, Republican Senate candidate in Georgia, and about his forays into paying for the abortion of an ex-girlfriend, and how this ended up. What are you guys' thoughts on this whole Herschel Walker and how Republicans are responding? You're shaking your head, Huggy.
I don't know what to say about Huckweed.
Queet.
I call him Huckweed. Huckweed.
First of all, Herschel Walker, being a former football player, he said he didn't get an abortion for her. He called an audible. Is what he calls it.
Oh, that's what they call it.
He called it audible.
First,
That's a
he
lie.
said he bought condoms from Dick's Sporting Goods, Chris.
Wow.
Can I say that, Sybil?
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
man.
Absolutely.
But-
Herschel Walker.
And the story just kept growing. And what did they think?
He said,
He said, "I don't know who she is."
I don't
Right.
know who she is. Well, they said it's your kid's
It's
mom.
it's your baby's mama.
One of your baby's mamas.
Well, she forgave me for what I didn't do.
But I read he's earned he's gotten like $500,000 in donations
But
since
what
that
they
came out.
After that
justify,
first story
but
came out.
what they
Right.
justify, bro.
Yeah. After that first story came out, it was $180,000 within minutes.
Wow.
And as much as 500,000 is probably higher now. Republicans coming to his
Where's
rescue.
that money coming from, Sybil?
It's coming from the Senate campaign coffers, as well as those
Purdue
Georgians
and
that
Loeffler?
want Republicans to gain control of the Senate.
Since he's a black
That's
candidate,
just
they call that dark
ridiculous.
money.
Yeah,
Right,
okay.
right. Absolutely right. So that is our What You Need to Know newsletter. Please go to SybilWilkes.com and subscribe. It's absolutely free. And just give us your name and your email box and your email address, and we will have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning.
The length they will go to put somebody in that seat. Herschel Walker, bro.
Let us go to what's really going on.
I wouldn't let him drive my Uber, bro.
Bro, I wouldn't
wouldn't
catch
feel
your
safe.
Uber. I wouldn't let him Uber pool with me, Chris. Drive.
He might send you a nice card if you're nice to him. For our question of the day,
He
this
might
is
pay for the Uber. He's got enough money.
This is National Health Awareness, Mental Health Awareness Day, officially commemorated on this day every year in October. So our question is, how are you taking care of your mental health, or what would you suggest other people do to take care of their mental health? For instance, I am, my activity of choice is going outside, taking a walk, getting some fresh air, kind of clearing my head. And so on this Mental Health Awareness Day, and I was really hoping that we might get our mental health contributor on, Aprilette Russell. If you have not seen her, check her out on Thursdays on It's Sybil. She did mention that this was Mental Health Awareness Day. How are you guys taking care of your mental health, and how do you suggest to others that they do?
I just make sure I regularly drink my Prozac Trazodone smoothies in the morning.
That's a whole lot of stuff, bro.
That is a lot. That's a lot of
What is it
chemicals.
called, Chris?
Prozac Trazodone smoothie.
Okay,
Just a little bit of kale.
How much kale,
As
bro?
my man Lavelle would say.
That's right.
I walk. Have a row machine, Sybil.
Mhm.
I watch World Star.
Huggy, we've
have a
seen you
row
on the
machine.
bike too.
I do
Yeah,
have a
row machine. Row's been banned, brother.
Huh?
Row's been banned. Row and Wade.
Oh no, not that kind of row.
Oh.
Coy, how about you?
I find it helpful to have an activity, a hobby, or even a pursuit, a career that you enjoy, that's constructive, that takes up time that you look forward to doing.
Can you be a little bit more specific in
Not
what
to
Her
mention that
hobby is stabbing brothers.
vegetables?
Not to
Vegetables. Start
mention that
selling
marijuana
his
plant behind us, Sybil.
vegetables.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely cooking. Cooking takes up a good bit of my time, but it's very constructive. It's something I enjoy doing. I don't mind engaging in this, whether I'm tired or whether I have, a lot of energy. It's something that challenges me day to day.
Roller skating.
And yeah, roller skating too. I haven't really been roller skating. Like, I'm sitting here looking at my skates now, like, dang, I have not broken these out in a few months, actually. But that's another activity that I enjoy, that's constructive. It's not,
So why haven't you, Coy? Can I just ask why you haven't been roller skating? Because that's how people know you, for going and skating.
Are you a pretty
Well,
good skater, roller skater, Coy?
yeah, I am. And it's just been something that I have decided to cut back on as I increased work, just dealing with life. And I was really working very hard to get things settled with my criminal case. So I was focusing a lot of those finances towards getting that closed, and then handling just life in general. And I figured, well, this is an expense that I can go without for right now, just for now, while I get everything situated. And now I still have to kind of wait a little while, because I just updates on my case. My license is somewhat suspended right now, and I qualify for a limited license where I'm supposed to just go to school and work and court stuff and, doctor's appointments. So might not want to risk it going skating unless I go carpool with someone for the next 2 to 3 months. So
Well, can you,
yeah.
I don't know what the rules are for roller skating with the kind of skates you have, but can you skate outside in your parking lot or whatever?
Yeah, somewhat. I think there's a certain kind of wheels I would need for that would be better. Unless I go to a tennis court, and our tennis court right now is, I think it's down right now. It's been we've had a lot of renovations since the springtime that they're supposed to be done by June and they're not. So
Got it.
How about
Yeah.
you, Sybil? You asked
Mine is going outside,
Oh, you
walking,
did say
or
that.
or just getting outside today. It's still nice in Dallas Fort Worth. It was about 88 degrees when I was outside, and pretty clear, and just a really nice day. And so, and to see people out with their dogs and things like that, and parents walking their little ones, it's nice. It lifts my spirits.
Yeah. Ain't nothing
Yeah.
like walking a dog smoking a fat joint.
Is that right?
No,
No.
yeah,
I
getting
mean, I
outside
see
is definitely
people. I
great.
see people. You know.
Right.
Sybil, I thought you had one of them big ass telescopes on the roof. Something.
That's funny. That's funny. That's Tom Joyner.
Oh, okay.
That would
Right.
be me too.
Really?
Yeah, I need a new one. My lens is broken, but yeah, I love telescopes.
Y'all some perverts.
You would take.
As you
it
can
there,
see, I
though.
can only see the sky. There's nothing but trees
No.
outside my window.
Yeah, you would say that, Christopher.
So that's
Morning,
our
Mrs. Johnson. Quite a show last night.
we heard, and then we saw the moon and the stars. So that's our question for folks who are watching and listening today. How do you take care of your mental health? What are the activities that you might have a paranormal smoothie that Chris drinks, or
Look at
whatever
Brian Scott.
Coy is chugging.
Brian Scott.
Brian Scott on
Hydration
Facebook
is
says
important too.
he's journaling after Bible study on Wednesday. So
That's one of them praying pimps. Sybil. He's trying to get a praying partner. He sound like a pimp. Watch out, bro. Good stuff, Brian. That's good stuff.
that is good. Journaling
That's
is
great.
good, and creativity. Janet Ferguson says swimming, walking, and comedy shows.
Oh, that's
Janet
great.
Ferguson says that
Have you
on
ever
Facebook.
swim on the way to a comedy show? Have you swim to a comedy show?
Only if she's in Florida right now. I still think is that where that is
Okay,
happening.
what else?
Dora Levette Tiggs on Facebook says, I was walking every day, but have been sidelined by an ingrown toenail.
Put cotton under it, a little piece. That works.
What do you put under? What
Well,
do you
we
put
know what
on
them feet
the
look like, Coy.
Dr. Coy?
Coy told me you put cotton underneath.
Yeah, you
That's
put
an old
like
Harriet
a little
Tubman
piece
trick.
Oh, Harriet
of-
Tubman.
after you take a
I can't walk
shower
no
or
more,
bath.
Harriet.
Put some cotton under the big toe.
You keep going. Right.
Harriet, you go without me. I can't go.
I got an
some
ingrown
cotton.
toenail. Well, my people, I'm send the word forth. Put some cotton. Stop at the cotton field. Put some cotton underneath that ingrown toenail and keep a walking.
Take some Tylenol.
Denise Cuffey on Facebook. I power walk, or depending on the song, run at least 4 days a week. A great way to get my mind right for the day. So I'm assuming you do that in the morning, Denise, or if your day starts later. CM Williams on Facebook. I escape from reality with levity. A lot of good music and movies.
Levity sound like a strand of weed. Sybil. That levity.
That levity kush. Levity.
That's
some
that Stranger
comedy.
Things, Krista.
Renita Bland, our friend on Facebook, says, yes, I enjoy the sunshine. My office has no windows. I go out for lunch. Oh, that's awful. My office has no windows. I go out for lunch every day. I used to worry about that with our friend Kelly Harrington. She was in a room with no windows. Her office was an interior.
She quit and started working the drive-thru at McDonald's. I remember Kelly.
You know, working at Albert Jordan's McDonald's. Gail Artis on Facebook. I watch comedies. Laugh, laugh, laugh. Yes. I look forward to that. This is a good night for comedies. The Neighborhood for me and Bob Hart's Abishola. Claudette Bowen Bellamy said, I listen to classical music and journaling. Journaling is good for
Oh,
people.
I said, did it there? All for her yo-yo ma.
Writing about Yo-Yo Ma. Yo-Yo Ma.
Do the math.
Robin Moore Randolph on Facebook says swimming. Oh, you don't look like you have swimming hair, Robin. So tell us what's your secret? What's your trick
Swim caps.
for
Swim
swimming?
caps.
Yeah, I've heard of swim
Or
caps.
like my sisters, they swim in bonnets.
I wonder if Robin is one of those people that invented the proper swim caps for Black women participating in the Olympics. Did
My
you see
sister-
that?
That would be great for me to invest in now.
Brenda McCutcheon on Facebook said, I stopped watching the cable news channels.
That's good stuff.
I was
right
just
there.
there thinking, I'm sure what's been benefiting
Right.
all of our mental health, and I assume all of your viewers
right.
and listeners, because you want to know what's going on in the world by watching this show.
Right.
The fact that there's a new president,
Right.
and we don't have to follow bull crap every
Right.
single day.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
yes, Trump is still doing what he's doing, taking
Right.
documents and stuff like that. But it's not every
day.
single
Right.
day someone in charge of our country causing you stress and a
Right.
headache.
Right. Stress and headache is right. And listening to those that are on tour with him. So that is our question of the day. We'd love to hear how you deal with your mental health. How do you keep your mental health and your spirits up? How do you keep your mental health on the right track? And so what do you do? And what is your suggestion to others? We've got some great suggestions from swimming to running to journaling. Dora Levette Tiggs already had surgery. Coy, this is an answer to your cotton suggestion. Had surgery to remove ingrown toenail, but it's not healing as fast as I thought it would.
Thanks for the update.
Dr. Coy?
Coy, what you?
Dang.
She had surgery. Her doctor was like, scalpel, cotton.
Man, that's serious. Ooh.
A surgery to remove an ingrown toenail. That's okay. And so what we got from Coy is, Dora, is that's serious. So Dr. Coy, if you have any other recommendations, please.
I do, Dora. Dora,
Elevate your
need
foot when you go to sleep.
Elevate your foot and invest in one of these.
Ooh. Oh, dang. Oh, that's
like a whale fin.
That's a little hardcore. Okay.
Get that toenail right on off.
Take
That
that
looked like
toe
the
right.
Bobbit 3000. What's that blade?
Delira Washington
Roller
on
skating.
Facebook says roller skating, and Coy
Rolling skating.
rolling
Rolling.
Oh, don't
skating.
Skating
don't
with an
worry. I'm
ascot.
gonna go skating. That's gonna happen. That is
Bro, that's
going
going
to
skating with an
happen.
ascot. Rolling skating.
There's some people that do that.
Jacqueline on YouTube says walk, read, and drink. I will drink to that.
In that order.
Right. Yeah, don't start the drinking before you do the walking and the other activities, because then you'll get stopped for sure. Denise Cuffey says, I just experienced some me time with lots of roller coaster riding. Loved and needed every turn and loop. Yeah, this is the time of year for the State Fair of Texas. If you don't mind paying a hefty penny, you can go and do a roller coastering. Sorry.
I'm scared of watching these roller coasters. I do a lot of painting and photography to keep my mental intact. Aubrey trying to get them ladies.
I'm not mad at you, Aubrey
Yeah.
Williams, with your camera tugging self.
Yeah.
That's on YouTube.
Photography.
That's right.
That
right.
used to be the pimp 101 right there, Chris. Painting and photography. A photographer back in the day.
Oh, you can
Let me
still use it, bro. Like everybody's taking pictures on their phone. The brother walking around the club with an actual camera,
Right.
with the telephoto lenses and stuff like that. Oh yeah,
With the big lens across here.
I know a brother used to walk around the club with an Etch-a-Sketch.
Leave J. Anthony Brown alone.
I always wanted to know how to do that very well. I just couldn't quite get the hang of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, let us move to trending topic, shall we? It is what's going on. Guys, tell us about the comedy brunch.
it was fantastic. We had a great time.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody who came out. They had quite a spread.
Yeah, thank you to all the crazy people that were there. My girls, what was her name? Roxanne, and then there was Ruby,
Roxanne and Ruby.
Betty.
Those
Yeah.
are some good old fashioned names.
Good old, I
Roxanne,
said, are
Ruby,
there
and
any
Betty.
new names in Richmond?
So how does
which
this
one was
work,
yelling out the
guys?
whole show?
Huh?
How does the
Who's in
comedy
the back?
brunch work?
Oh, they people come in and they got a whole big buffet for them, and they make their plates and they can get all they want to eat. And then at 1 o'clock, we started the show.
You know how hard it is to please black people in food? You know how they do that? Hey, Coy, you know how they be? See what's in.
Oh, is there lifting the?
Yeah, you know how hard it is when I'm on stage for 20 minutes and they bring some fresh fish out?
Oh no! Oh no!
Where the hell is everybody, where the hell's everybody going?
Every time Chris
Where's
heard the
everybody
metal,
going?
lift this, he would turn his head, miss his joke.
They'd lift the covers off of the food, and
It was
when
fun.
Chris saw the fresh fish come out, that was the end of his act, huh?
It was fun. It was fun.
Well, that's great. Do you guys have any other dates you want to announce?
Yes.
Well, we're supposed to be in North Carolina.
The Greensboro show that was postponed because of the hurricane will be October 22nd at the Dynacon Center. Get your tickets at greensborohuggy.eventbrite.com.
At the Dynacon, October 22nd.
That's the makeup date.
Greensboro. All right.
Unless
cool.
there's another hurricane.
Right. Yeah, let us not. And we'll talk
Let's
about
hope
those
not.
things coming up. Coy, do you have any
Uh-oh.
performances or events you'd like to announce?
Screenshot this.
Free skating at
skating.
Pullman Yards in Atlanta every Thursday, 5:30 to 10:30. I was just telling my daughter about it. It says Mrs. Davidson on Facebook at Pullman Yards in Atlanta every Thursday.
Yards, Coy, you know what Pullman Yards?
I'm not sure where that is. I think is that
P-Valley.
on the Beltline? I think it's on the Beltline. If I'm
That's
not
on the
mistaken.
Beltline.
Coy, while you're writing down this free roller skating event every Thursday, 5:30 to 10:30, and you have any upcoming dates or anything you'd like to share with everyone?
Not that I know of at the
Okay.
moment.
She's going to be
just a
free
lot of
skating.
There's going to be free
Yeah,
skating every
right.
Thursday.
Hopefully Thursday.
5:30 to 10:30. Yep. I would like to, as you all asked earlier, mention the MMCA Awards, the Multicultural Minority Correspondents Association Awards. And thanks to David Morgan as well as Martine Charles.
Cool
Yeah.
brother, right? Yeah, he's a cool brother.
And thank you, Huggy, for coming and being my escort and for introducing me, along with Ada Rodriguez, who was a great host
It was hilarious, right?
of the show.
Yeah.
Ida Rodriguez, I'm
Ida
sorry.
Rodriguez, right.
And it was a really good time. And I want to thank everyone again for the honor. It really was very special.
Heavy award, so heavy award.
It was heavy.
It was heavy, Sybil.
It wasn't just, oh, this is a heavy event. The award itself, they're going to send it. I'm not sure.
You haven't received it yet?
No.
Yeah.
But, I didn't expect to have it by the time I got home.
Hey, Sybil, I don't know if they shipping it via Spirit Airlines, but they're going to charge you $600 for that.
It was really a heavy award. It was beautiful, though.
Yeah, it was a beautiful award.
So it was a very nice event, and a number of people who were honored there, including the godmother of Black Hollywood, Jennifer Lewis, as well as Jose Diaz-Balart of MSNBC, and yours truly. And so it was a nice, and you know what, Huggy, I don't know if he told you this, but that was the first time I met Tony Perkins.
Really?
Yeah, that was the very first time we met. Tony was there.
That's Chris' boy. That's our boy, but Chris, how long you known Tony, Chris?
Bro, forever.
Yeah.
Tony's part of the reason I ended up on radio.
Is that right?
And
yeah, because
Chris is the reason I'm on radio.
Because
So
he gave me Tony's biggest credit, and he's not a hater at all.
Never.
Tony had left. He's doing TV, and Donnie Simpson needed a sidekick, and I was doing the movie reviews on a local channel here in DC. And Donnie saw me. He called Tony Perkins and said, "Man, turn on channel 9. Who's that black dude?" And Tony said, "Oh, that's Chris Paul. He's hilarious."
And then he said, "Who's the dude beside him?" He said, "Oh, that's Chris Paul."
Next thing you know, he set up an audition, and boom.
Tony Perkins is a really
got the
good
job,
guy.
right? And
Yeah.
tell them what happened that day. You gave a dude your coat. It was the wintertime. I remember this story, right?
Oh yeah, the day that happened. Yeah, it just happened. I was leaving the comedy cafe in DC. It was freezing out there, and I tried to. My mother just bought me a coat, by the way, even though I was a grown man. She's still buying me a
Oh,
Ain't nothing
a
like,
winter
a
coat.
winter coat
how
at
old were you,
that.
bro?
I was like 23, 24, and
Mom,
she
job
bought me a
never
winter coat.
stopped.
So
Yeah.
I'm leaving the club, and I had some food that the owner gave me because you get a meal when you perform. And I
Mhm.
tried to give it to the homeless guy, and the homeless guy was like, I can't eat that. I haven't eaten in weeks, and it'll make me sick.
Oh,
So I said, well, here, take this. And I took off my new coat and gave it to him.
Right.
And then
wow.
the very next day, I got a call saying, Donnie wants you to join his show.
He was blessed.
Wow. That's a special moment,
It
huh?
is. You know about them winter coats, Sybil. We had a story about them coats in
Yeah,
DC,
yeah,
right?
a
Yeah.
great story.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a little peek into Huggy's past as a young man coming of age.
Shh. Okay, Sybil. That's
By the way, the day after they hired me, they hired the homeless guy with my coat on who's got paid more than me. Just so you know. They said they liked his coat.
Chris left his wallet in the coat,
One of the other things that I do want to talk about is check in and check up for your health. And this is something that we have on It's Sybil, as well as the What You Need to Know newsletter. And this story came out. They announced that Nene Leakes, one of the former stars of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, her young son has suffered a heart attack and a stroke.
What, Sybil?
Brent
Wow.
Leakes is 23 years old. 23 years old,
Wow.
a heart attack and a stroke. He was in Atlanta visiting his big brother, and Nene has 2 sons, and he was there, and apparently she posted a video talking about the situation in which she and Brent are sharing that their family is shocked that he's going through such a serious medical situation at such a young age. He had both congestive heart failure and a stroke. She says her son does not drink or do drugs, and doctors have run a multitude of tests in order to determine what caused this episode, including tests for HIV. She's asking that everyone keep Brent in their prayers. Now, he does run a lounge, a cigar lounge, which I would think might contribute to this. I'm not sure. I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on a streaming show. He does have a long road to recovery. They said he was in Atlanta, as I mentioned, when he suffered both the heart attack and the stroke, quickly transported to a local hospital for medical attention. And I know that with Black women, especially when they talk about whatever their symptoms are, people don't take that as seriously and make the connection between what a woman is feeling and what might be the actual cause of this. But she's had some medical issues in her family. Her husband Greg sadly lost his battle against cancer last year, and now Brent has had at 23 has had this cardiac arrest as well as a stroke, and so we are wishing him a quick and full recovery from all of this.
The way it goes is
You know,
black men don't take symptoms seriously, and Black women have their doctors not take their symptoms
Right?
seriously.
Yeah. Figure that, Chris.
grief and stress can go hand in hand, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't realize what it's like to, for instance, when you lose somebody that's close to you, especially when you lose a parent. I know that's one of the things that physically I would feel for a long time. My heart, it was beating very hard. Like when I would go to sleep, when I would try to sit down, when I would try to calm down. And it was to the point where I started getting, concerned for myself by when I was going through the trauma of losing my dad and the grief of that. And I just feel like with Nene Leakes' son, this is still a time for healing for her, for their entire family, friends, and things like that. It's still something that's fresh. Even though, Nene Leakes, in a sense, has somewhat moved on because I think she has started another relationship. But you never really know how long it takes people to to deal with the grief of losing a parent, a loved one, and what have you. And I just feel like this is what has contributed to his stroke.
And they do talk about the period of time that it takes for people to recover from major life changes like a death of a parent or a loved one. And they say a minimum of 5 years.
Well, some people
And this
never.
is just the
And
first
some
year.
people never.
Right.
Some people die of a broken heart,
Right.
as we have seen, especially during the COVID crisis.
Right.
It's very sad. I hope that he will take his health seriously, and let's check in and check up on our folks that have gone through a difficult situation and see how they're doing on this National Mental Health Awareness Day.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And don't throw yourself into, I know it's a great way to kind of get your mind off of things by going to work and finding, a constructive hobby through that, but don't overdo that because you can literally overwork yourself as well while
Yeah.
trying to get your mind off of whatever is
Yeah,
bothering you.
and nothing to excess, Coy. I mean, and don't overwork, don't overdrink, don't overeat, don't
Don't
over.
overindulge.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly. Exactly. The Los Angeles City Council president has resigned after she was recorded in a racist conversation. She is a Hispanic woman. Her name is Nuri Martinez, and she has resigned. She says she takes responsibility for what she said. And this was, she has stepped down as the Los Angeles City Council president after fallout, after being heard making racist remarks in an audio leaked over the weekend. As I said, she said that she takes responsibility for what she said, and there are no excuses for those comments. And she apologized. I sincerely apologize to the people I hurt with my words. And this was from the Los Angeles Times. They released statements denouncing the offensive remarks made during a private meeting last year between three sitting Los Angeles County members, city
So
council
this was
members.
last year, Sybil.
This is last year. We're now in December, Hug. Audio from the meeting was published in a report by the Los Angeles Times. In the leaked audio, Martinez can be heard making derisive and racist comments about the child of Mike Boreen, who is the council member representing the 11th district. Bonine, who is white, has an adopted son who is black. In the audio, Martinez can be heard describing his son as a changuito or a little monkey.
Wow.
That's why I hate monkeys. I hate monkeys to this
Wow.
day.
Wow.
Describes the little black boy as a monkey.
Wow.
And in the accompanying audio, they also included a fellow council members, Gil Cedillo and Kevin Delabrie, and also Federation President Ron Herrera. At one point, accuses this white councilman Bonine of treating his son like an accessory, comparing him to a designer handbag. First, they call him a monkey, then they call him an object, and comparing him to a designer handbag, meaning he has the kid around him all the time and is just something, to give him status, I guess, of some sort.
Oh my goodness.
So she has resigned, not necessarily resigned as a member of the council, but as president of the Los Angeles City Council.
Resigned and pressured to resign
Yeah.
based on the fact that this took place in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
You know that there's many places in this country these days where nobody steps down for stuff like that.
Right. You're absolutely right, Chris. And where do we go from here? It's sad. It's just all kinds of sad. More than a dozen airport websites, including those for some of the nation's largest airports, appeared inaccessible Monday as a result of a Russian-speaking hacker who has claimed responsibility. No immediate signs of impact to actual air travel were reported, suggesting the issue may be an inconvenience for people seeking travel information. This happened as a result of a report from Kirsten Tott, who is chief of staff at the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA. at a security conference in Sea Island, Georgia. 14 websites include the one for Atlanta's Hartsfield Jackson Airport, Chicago's O'Hare Airport. An employee said there were no international impacts or operational or international impacts. Los Angeles International Airport website was offline, but appeared to be restored shortly after 9 o'clock Eastern this morning. A spokesman did not immediately return a request for comments, but as I said earlier, they did say no immediate signs of impact to actual air travel. What happened was people who were affected who used those airline or those airport websites for information to get actual airport travel was not affected by all of this, but kind of scary.
That's real scary. So
With these hackers who are Russia related, and of course, what's happening in Ukraine with Russia and blowing up bridges and what have you. They listed the multiple U.S. airports as targets in the hacking. They stepped up its activity to target organizations in NATO countries after Russia's February invasion of Ukraine. And the loosely organized hacktivists are politically motivated to support the Kremlin, but ties to Moscow are unknown. They claimed responsibility last week for knocking offline U.S. state government websites. KillNet is blamed for briefly downing a U.S. Congress website in July and for cyber attacks. So that is what is trending. Those are the things that are going on right now as we speak. Let's move to entertainment. And I don't know if we count this as entertainment, but certainly Kanye is in the news. Kanye West has been suspended from Twitter after an anti-Semitic rant. He wrote early Sunday that he wanted to go DEFCON 3 on Jews just hours after Elon Musk welcomed him back to the platform.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he said, I take responsibility for what I said. And Kanye. Also, people are talking about Kanye and the White Lives Matter and T-shirts that he wore during Fashion Week. Not entertaining, as I said, but someone needs to get to Kanye when he goes through these spells. We talked about, Coy, in your stories about people going through these psychotic episodes, and it appears that Kanye goes through these episodes. And certainly there was a lot of uproar. There was some uproar, I should say, with the White Lives Matter shirts, but there was a lot of uproar when he said that he wanted to go DEFCON 3 against Jews. And
Should have
it's
been the
sad.
same amount of uproar, to be honest.
It's sad that
And he actually spelled it death. DEFCON.
DEFCON, not deaf, but DEFCON.
You think Kanye is crazy? He's not that crazy. How much you want to bet from now on he only sticks to talking about black people?
Yeah.
He's not that crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, sad but true. Absolutely sad but true.
Because nobody was outraged but black people, and that's not enough.
He didn't get
not
enough
right.
of a response.
Right. And this is why I kind of take things lightly when people say, oh, yeah, we stand with you and unity and stuff like that. Where are you when these incidents happen?
Well, I don't know that they are with us, Coy. I just know that in this particular instance, I think like Chris said, you didn't get enough. And so, and there's nothing like getting a reaction when people talk about doing something to the Jewish community.
I mean, the problem is Kanye, his attack on Jewish people is just pure hateful. But the stuff that he says about black people, we're offended by it. But there are so many white people that see it as educational. Like this is the guy who said slavery was a choice.
Right.
So you've got white people saying, hey, yeah, slavery. If you're still talking about slavery, that's
and
a
if
choice.
This black man is saying it's a choice, then it's gotta be.
Right.
They pick and choose what they attach themselves to, bro.
Right.
That's true.
And that's what they want to attach themselves to. That narrative coming from a black successful billionaire.
Right.
Let's see
and
how
a so-called
successful he
genius.
is.
Right.
Say again, Chris.
I said, and a so-called genius. So
and a self-proclaimed genius.
They believe him.
Yep. Absolutely. Um, Coy, what are folks saying about Kanye on the streets?
But he's crazy. They're like, there's just a lot of things that he said that people, kind of gave a little leeway to. Kind of was like, you know what, maybe he's having another episode and something's going on. And now everybody's like, there's just no excuse at this point.
Are you guys hearing
How many
anything about,
passes? How many passes though? Sister?
does he get?
How many passes? How many passes?
How
I
many
mean,
is
hours
that?
after getting back on Twitter.
He's not getting affected as far as sneaker sales because he has his own locked in following. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. Let us move to Yogi's Jewel. This is our daily inspiration.
Yeah.
And sometimes people will take your kindness for weakness. Stand up for yourself. That is the jewel for today. Sometimes people will take your kindness for weakness. Stand up for yourself. And I don't know if I can add this, but stand up for others as well that are being picked upon.
Right.
I think
Absolutely.
that is our and I think what Chris has shown with giving his coat up in days past, in years past, that his mama bought a good winter coat. It goes a long way. And it's certainly standing up and helping others.
Well, why was I scared to tell my mom about it?
What?
I never told her about it.
You did
never-
what?
Right.
No, I never
Bruh,
told her about it.
did you buy the exact same coat though when you
No,
got
I
the gig?
just
You
never,
bought a leather one, didn't you?
just never mentioned it to my mama.
Wow.
Oh, bless her heart.
Wow.
Bless her heart. Oh, well. She knows your heart is good, Chris.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks, you guys. I appreciate you. Huggy,
Sybil,
thank
and
you again.
congratulations again.
Congratulations again.
Thank you, my
well
friends.
deserved, Sybil. Well
Appreciate
deserved.
it. I really do appreciate your
Good
friendship.
job, Sybil.
And thank you, young Coy. And appreciate you all watching as well and for being a part of our show. That is it. We will see you all again soon. Aloha.